university!
Whose university?
Our university!
The OSU administrators have a very specific job, and their job is not to encourage or support student organizing. If it was, student organizing wouldn't be necessary, because we would just have the things that we wanted. We would have a university that's not invested in genocide. We'd have a university that's not invested in the climate crisis. We'd have a university that's not invested in militarism. And we'd hopefully have a university that doesn't have like a coal plant like on our campus.
They were scared of our power, and they're scared of the fact that for years upon years now, their vision has been unpopular amongst OSU students, amongst OSU faculty, amongst OSU staff, and amongst the broader Ohio community. You want to talk about a democratic institution that you can't even chart your own vision on your own campus? Shameful. Ted Carter is continuously caught running away from the people that he is supposed to represent. Not to pull the 2016, but not my president.
But the job of administrators is not really to facilitate the education of students. It's not really to encourage students in the learning process. It's not to support faculty and staff in research and their other work. The job of administrators is fundamentally, at most American universities and definitely at OSU, is to ensure the smooth functioning of the university so that the university can keep making money over and over and over again. And so that it can create the kinds of workers that are happy and placid and go along with what their bosses eventually end up telling them. And so I don't think that administrators are particularly fond of student organizing. And I feel like the fact that I got arrested in student organizing is like probably solid evidence of that. And then they arrested like 40 more people, which I feel like definitely adds to the evidence pile of my argument.
We are the power! We are the power! We are the power! We are the power!
To Ohio State, it's like I'm not used to walking around a place where people are actively voting against my favor. So I have felt just a lot more self-conscious in my whole existence. I kind of walked around a few days after the election, kind of just like looking at mainly white men and being like, I'm kind of scared of you right now. I live next to like pretty stereotypical frat white boys, and their reactions was cheering at 2:30 in the morning, and that made me scared because I'm like, I live next to these people.
Nobody in history has ever.
As someone who, you know, I came to a PWI as a queer woman of color, and just the atmosphere kind of changed right after the election. Like my neighbors were cheering, and I was like crying. So it's definitely just like scary because I don't really know what's going to happen, and as I enter like not being in school anymore in this administration, I'm just really nervous for what my life is going to be like. If Kamala won, I would feel, I think, more secure in my future, and I think just that general anxiety of what on earth my life is going to look like wouldn't be deep-seating itself into every single moment of my day.
Isn't just about Harris, because the rot runs deep, and the rot is inherent to the capitalist
There are a lot of
imperialist
different
system.
things I feel like to react to after the election. I'm obviously not happy with who the options were, and I'm definitely not happy with the outcome.
False choice nearly every election of my life and of many of our lives. We have to make.
I think the first thing I felt as I was watching the election information come in and watching the votes stream in state by state was that it was a lot less close than I thought, which I think was the only part of the election that actually surprised me, that took me by surprise, was how badly Donald Trump wiped the floor with Kamala Harris, which is a scary thing to see. Like the immediate aftermath of that was just, I think, fear. I've been having a lot of feelings, in particular about people's reactions to that happening. I think that Donald Trump getting elected is bad. I also think that there was not a good outcome of the election. I think that Kamala Harris has aided and abetted and funded and armed and fueled a genocide in Gulasa and was already complicit in settler colonialism in Palestine well before October 7th. And that was candidate one, who was supposed to be the good one. And then our other option was the fascistic nationalist of Donald Trump, or the fascistic nationalist that is Donald Trump.
The rot runs deep, and it has been aided by the far-right liberalism of the Democratic Party, by the right-wing fascistic nationalism of the Republican Party and of Trump.
I think the other thing I've been feeling is a lot of frustration. I think there are a lot of people that claim to speak on the left, and I think that have a large audience, who have been responding to the election results by claiming that there's been a rightward shift in the American population, or claiming that the American people are unable to see liberation as being something in their own self-interest, and just kind of throwing your hands up and being like, well, there's nothing we in the U.S. can do, so it's up to everyone else, in particular the colonized world. And I think I've been seeing this a lot with regards to Palestine, of people that feel very much like the American people cannot organize successfully.
No more money for Israel's slaughter.
I think the thing I sat with a lot the day after was the apathy that a lot of people felt, and also the emboldenment of very, very now openly proud Trump supporters. The question we were asking people was, are you upset about the election? As a way to get them to stop and talk to us. And people either just threw their hands up and said it is what it is, and or just smiled and said no, not really, which I thought was equally disheartening and slightly scary.
Trans liberation now!
Trans liberation now!
Queer liberation now!
I now have to be more choosy on where I get to spend the next portion of my life. I'm lucky I'm going to go back home to Chicago, but I have a friend who just started hormones. She's trans. She just started transitioning this year, and her outlook on where she wanted to live for grad school is very different now. My whole community is going to have to shift where we think we can safely live, which is a really harsh reality to face.
That movement, only based in fear and anger, will fail, or maybe I could tell you that my trans joy is more powerful than my fear, or I could tell you that my smile is more contagious than my transgenderism. It is, by the way. I think it's important to note that the person that wrote that was a poor black 17-year-old trans boy who lived in London, who wrote it in 2023, and the number of anti-trans bills nationally has doubled since that time.
I think there's a lot of talk on, again, how we just said, fleeing the country, fleeing the place. And I think it's important to remember how, there are people who can't leave, and we shouldn't forget, the queer kids in Oklahoma who now feel really unsafe. I think what would be more helpful for a society would to be doing community action and volunteering and just really and getting to know your neighbors versus kind of leaving behind those who can't in the dust, which is hard, because it's I want to leave, but also I have the privilege to do so, but also I have the privilege to help other people. So I think I feel like more people should have a more balance of community efforts, just so everyone can kind of get through the next 4 years.
How do we shake the feeling of fear and doom that a lot of us are feeling right now, and has left many of us unable to move or think?
It is normal to be scared. Actually, that is a normal reaction, as a totally rational reaction to all of the things that we're seeing. And it's okay to be scared. I think the thing that I would caution people away from is giving up. I think every one of us, so long as any one of us is alive, has an obligation to fight. We always have an obligation to fight, so long as US imperialism and the capitalist world system is intact. Because that means that people are being hurt, people are dying, people are losing their lives, people are starving. All of these things are happening, and a lot of times if you're in the US, your taxes are paying for it to happen.
No more money for Israel's slaughter. Time. Long.
Sometimes I just want to shake people. And I'm like, wake up. Put your big boy pants on. Things are bad. They were bad before. They're slightly worse now. They don't have to be this way. Put your big boy pants on and get to work. Because at the end of the day, it's fight or die. And I personally am much more fond of the fighting option. Things are hard, but that a better liberated world where all of us have access to reproductive care, gender affirming care, to like affordable housing and friendly to free housing, and where our needs are met, and where the people we love have their needs met, and we have good, humane jobs. I think the world where we have all those things is possible, even when it seems particularly far away. No one said that winning was going to be easy, and I think we should never expect winning to be easy, because what we're advocating for is the complete and radical transformation of the world we currently have into something completely new. We want to see the end of capitalism and of the capitalist world and the birth of a new one. And I don't think anyone should be under the delusion that is going to be easy. I don't think any of us should ever expect fighting and winning should be easy. And I think we need to steel ourselves for that reality. I think as scary as it is, the thing to do is assess where you're at, think about your current conditions, which are admittedly not so great, and think about where you want to go and figure out what choices bridge the gap between where you're at and where we need to be. I think there are actual, literal lives at stake, and I think all of us will need to think about how we can make ourselves braver and smarter and stronger people in the coming years, so that we don't take this laying down, so that we fight back, that we constantly fight back, and that we not fight back dumb, that we fight back smarter than we have been, because I don't think that we've been fighting as smart as we should be. But we can. We are very capable of learning, and we are very capable of winning, and I think we owe it to ourselves and to everyone else being harmed by our country, by our government, here and abroad. We owe it to everyone, and we owe it to ourselves to fight. I think even from a purely self-interested perspective, a lot of us have a slightly or maybe significantly more bleak future in the next few years in mind than we might have thought we had otherwise. And you owe it to yourself to fight, and you owe it to everyone in your life to fight, and you owe it to everyone to win. We owe it to ourselves to win. We owe it to each other to win. And I think that it's important to remember that there is a way for us to win if we're brave and smart enough to chase after it. And I think we need to let ourselves be scared but be brave, and be kind but also get tougher. And I think we're gonna increasingly have to be really precise about where we're aiming our fists. And it'll be more and more important for us now than ever before to lean into solidarity and the reality that no one of us is that different from the other, and that especially those of us who are of the oppressed majority of the world need to start seeing ourselves as the same as one another and aligned, because we have common enemies, and when we fight amongst ourselves, they laugh, they make money, they profit, and even worse, they continue to bomb and bomb and bomb. And so I think we gotta be smart, we gotta be brave, we gotta be tough, and we gotta lean into our solidarity and keep remembering to punch upwards, because that's where the bad guys are.